Fender.com studios. I'm Bob DiFazio, here to give you a walkthrough of the new Fender Passport PA system. It's this black funeral looking box here, weighs about 50 pounds. Really does include just about everything you might need to do a live show with your band, to do a live recording of your live show, or to do some sort of like multimedia presentation with your laptop and microphones and stuff like that. So this was the PD-500. There have been other Passports in the past, but this is obviously called a Passport because all you need to do is bring this and you'll get her done. So I'm going to show you what happens when you break it out here. You break off the two monitors that come with, plop them on a pair of speaker stands. These speaker stands do not come with. They're the only thing you may need that doesn't come inside of the box itself. And I'm going to show you, along with these speakers, which have two mid-range drivers and a tweeter, you're also going to see the faceplate, which gives you all the controls of your 8-channel mixer, monitor outputs, and everything that we're going to get to in a minute. But I want to show you on the rear, Fender has provided you with a trunk of goodies. And in the trunk of goodies, there would be two Fender microphones that come with. They have an on-off switch, not a bad mic. Come with XLR cables. And you also get a power cable. You get a stereo RCA cable to hook up to your laptop or to your iPod, so they've thought of that. And then they give you the two Neutrik speak-on connectors that you're going to need to hook up your monitors. So what I want to do is plug in some inputs to this device and show you how it processes effects and how it can be used to put on your show and to record it as well. We're back. Here's the front plate of the PD-500. Going to give you an idea of what sort of capability this guy has. There's a stereo master output, and you have control over individual channels. And then you have a little button here called a feedback killer. What that guy is, it's basically a patent-pending processor that Fender has designed. And what it is designed to do is to take any sort of excessive band of frequencies that get out of control and attenuate them. So this device will recognize if there's a build-up around 2 or 3 kilohertz and it's disproportionate to the rest of the frequency response, it'll actually go ahead and turn that down. So you can decide to activate that or not. And it's good to have this though, because this guy doesn't have what I'd call an equalizer. It has more of a tone control. And this system EQ here is not exactly an EQ. It's not a parametric EQ or a graphic really. It's basically a 3-band tone knob. So you've got low frequency, who knows what frequency that is, maybe 100, 120 hertz. Mid-range, probably a kilohertz, anybody's guess. High frequency, 5 kilohertz, something like that, but it's not very flexible. So you might need to use this because there's nothing you can do to specifically grab a frequency and attenuate it. All right, input 1 through 8 here are your channel inputs. Inputs 1 through 6 are mono. Inputs 7 and 8 are stereo. So what I've done is I've plugged my guitar directly into input 1, selected line input, which is close enough for the blues. This is actually an instrument level signal, but line level will work fine for today. And then up at the top of the first input, you have your first gain stage, which is basically your preamp section here. So I'm going to look at this peak meter, make sure it doesn't get into the red. So I'm going to bring it down to around here. And then what I want to show you is that this device here has a cool effect send. So you have one single effect send for every channel. I'm going to bring the effect send up to about 7, and we're going to look over here at the different effects that we can select right on this PD-500. So I'm going to go up to the top here of the effects selector, and I'm going to play the same little riff, and each time I'm going to change the effect. I've got the effect level up substantially, so you should be able to hear a significant amount of effect. So here's the room reverb. Here's a plate. A plate is basically a big piece of metal that you can send your signal through. It's not very well used nowadays, but this is what it might sound like. That's fun. You can't change the time, though, of the echo, which might make it a little useless. Then you got a hall reverb plus echo. Now let's say that's not enough for you. Let's say you want to use some of your outboard processing. Maybe you have like a TC Electronics reverb or some type of lexicon box or something. Well, you have a power amp insert right here. The power amp insert allows you to insert a signal processor over the master outputs of this guy. To what extent that is useful, I'm not sure, because what you'd be able to do is put reverb on everything or reverb on nothing. So that may or may not be useful. It would be more useful for an equalizer, where you want to equalize everything that's coming out of this guy, or a compressor, where you want to compress the master output. But as far as reverbs go, it's not very useful. Then you have a monitor output for a floor monitor that does not come with. You got your independent monitor level. A stereo tape output for recording your performance. And then these are all your channel inputs here. Mono, mic, and line inputs with phantom power for the first 6 inputs. And then you have line inputs or mic inputs, although they don't have the XLR connection. But the last 2 are stereo. So if you were going to connect your laptop, you could plug it in stereo into input 7, and the other end would go right into the headphone jack of your computer. All right, so for an all-in-one device, this thing really rocks. It's got effects, it's got a tape output, it's got a monitor send, it's got stereo inputs. It's really about the most effective single box type of PA system that I would be able to endorse for you. If I could recommend some points of flexibility, it would be a better equalization system. A high and a low tone knob really leaves you kind of high and dry in certain situations. So if you could really zero in on particular frequencies, that would make me happy from an engineering standpoint. But for any small band, drums, bass, guitar, this is all you really need. You can show up to your show with this one box, drop it down, plug in your microphones, your stereo inputs, pack it up, and get on over to the next show. So hope that this walkthrough has given you an idea of what this guy is really capable of. And I really appreciate you watching this video at gearwire.com. We'll see you next time.